Are you mystified by mysteries?
Or can you crack the craziest cases?
We're looking for chief detectives to join us on our investigations into some of the strangest stories from around the world.
We'll analyse aliens, look for the Loch Ness Monster and hunt out curses. We'll present you with the best evidence and the most interesting facts.
And then it'll be up to you to decide and tell us what you think.
Will you be a mythbuster like me?
Or a myth truster like me?
If you want to be our chief detective, join us on Bust or Trust, a kids mystery podcast. Every week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music and all other places you listen to podcasts.
You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan and I'm not sure what it's like where you are right now. I mean, for all I know, you could be in space where there's just sort of, well, loads of space. Or maybe you're listening to this while lurking under a toadstool or being dipped into some hummus. I've got no idea what your life is like. Linda, what's it like where you are now, Linda? Ugh, no idea. Well, I'm not sure what you're up to, that's what I'm trying to say. But here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ, it is the time of year where it's all very warm. Like very, very, very warm. Like I'm worried my knees might melt warm. And the big problem, apart from, my knees melting and then me falling over all the time, is that all the plants at Comedy Club for Kids HQ need a lot of water. Like, so much water. Like, all the water. Like a sea worth of water, which wouldn't be good as seawater is salty water, and then that would mean that I need more water to wash away all the salt from the plants, and then give the plants real water too. I know what you're thinking, but Tiernan, what plants? And you are right. I haven't mentioned them on the show before, have I? And that's because, well, they would be rubbish guests. Can you imagine? Hi, rubber plant, what have you been up to? Yeah, exactly. Boring, isn't it? In fact, I'll tell you what else is boring. Rubber plants don't even bounce everywhere. And if you do a pencil drawing and you don't like it and you want to start again, do you know what happens if you rub a rubber plant leaf on the paper? Yeah, nothing. Rubbish. The Swiss cheese plant is not made of Swiss cheese and it does not taste nice in sandwiches, and the spider plant doesn't crawl around or make webs. Actually, thinking about it, that is good, or I would be super creeped out. They do make everything look green and nice though, which I really like, because otherwise it'd not look green and horrible. But in this weather, I have to water all those plants every 5 minutes and 37 seconds or... yeah, that's it. They all dry out. Sorry, listeners. Excuse me a minute. There we go. Water is best for them, but do you ever feel thirsty and it's like super warm and you think, do you know what would really fix this thirst? And I know you're cavorting butt pimples. I'm sorry. Grown-ups, they always say, don't they, water is good for you. You should drink water. But sometimes, just sometimes, you need to drink something more exciting, right? Like, a yak shake or a lettuce juice or an ice-cold bucket of essence of, You know what I mean? I'm just wondering if maybe I gave all my plants a different drink, they'd not need watering so much. Maybe it's just they're bored of water and they need something a little bit special. Yeah, hang on. I'm going to go have a look. What's in the fridge? Stinky hippos, obviously. No, they won't want that. A 4-day-old hat? Oh, no, that is not looking good. There you go. It's some... I'm so awake! Energy drink. I don't remember buying this, but I'm probably not going to drink it as it looks awful, so I guess I may as well give it a try on the plants, right? There you go, that is 14 crates of the stuff all poured in, and now I guess I just wait. And while I do that, don't forget that if you want to tell me how things are where you are and what your plants drink, or you just want to send in a joke you've written, or better still, a question that you have that really needs answering, please do get your cavorting butt pimples, I'm sorry, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if your grown-ups fancy supporting this silly show and getting the ad-free Linda edition every week, one day earlier than this usually arrives, then please do get them to sign up for you via the link in the podcast blurb or on Acast Plus. Please do also check out our live gigs at comedyclubforkids.co.uk and all our t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store. Yeah, that doesn't sound good, does it? But the plants aren't wilting, so it must be working. Right, well, while I see what happens, why don't you go and listen to this most importantest bit? Oh, but just a warning, our guest this week sometimes sounds a little bit like he's trapped in a cave, which, when you listen, sort of suits him. And the sound does go a little bit funny here and there, which again, sort of suits him. But it is mostly very, very good, unlike our villainous guest. Do enjoy.
For growing exotic tropical plants.
I can't believe it, but here on Radio Nonsense is the one and only Rufus Hound, aka Rufus Hound, who knows absolutely everything about the ground, aka DJ Groofus Soundbox, or as all our Nyanja-speaking listeners know you, of course, Maina Mata, Amaneo, Yemwe, Ama Wapseza, Abulu Anga. But of course, Rufus, you are most well known for your campaign to prove that sheds aren't real, as you've never seen one, for single-handedly saving the citizens of Lyme Regis from a freak spaghetti storm, and most famously, of course, for your miraculous invention of cars for pets. Rufus, it's lovely to have you on the show. How are you?
So many achievements, Tiernan, so many achievements over the years, and you missed out some of the other highlights, of course.
I researched for I would say actually days, weeks, and there's just a lot to compile. It was hard to know what you treasure, what you deem most valuable. What have I missed?
I rather imagine my epitaph will read, "I'll be remembered as the man who invented the word goodbye."
Yes. I suppose that is probably your most important thing that you've created. But I didn't want to start a podcast with that because I was worried you might leave.
Well, exactly so. I mean, it's happened before. Log on, immediately staring at a black screen and nothing staring back. And you think, well, goodbye indeed. But I mean, if you were going to have anything on your headstone, goodbye is probably not a bad one to have.
That is true.
After all, you know, what else is there to say when one steps into the great black beyond?
It is true. I mean, also it should be said, and one of our listeners may not know because they're probably not old enough, that before you invented goodbye, people used to shout "bad bye" at each other, and it wasn't a nice way to leave things.
Well, I mean, it very much depended which bit of the country you were in. If you were having "bad bye" shouted at you, got away rather lightly. In some parts of Wales, at the end of a conversation, people would scream loudly for 4 seconds directly into one another's faces.
Yes.
They've come down here from over the top field. Anyway, I better be getting back for my tea.
Yes.
Now, I think we can all agree it's infinitely better. Just goodbye.
It is, but I would say that goodbye doesn't echo through the valleys in the same beautiful way that scream did. You know, you used to be able to stand at one part of the Brecon Beacons and hear someone scream goodbye at another friend from miles away, really. It was beautiful.
That leads us to the old phrase, you always know when a conversation's over in Portmaddock.
Yes, absolutely. And now a goodbye is, I mean, it is more polite, and I would say it's more well-wishing, but it doesn't echo in the same way.
No, less joyful echoic frequency.
Yes.
Less resonance, less about it that just lacks what a scream has.
Yes, it's true. And I mean, I suppose I should also ask, because I mean, you know, and I use goodbye all the time, and I'm very grateful. I have to say, I'm very grateful for you.
Well, you have to, don't you? Because you always have people leaving.
All the time. They just go, often before I've even entered the room, they've run away. And I'm not entirely sure why, and if maybe it's a smell or just a look that I have, but they've gone with a quick goodbye.
Well,
yeah.
I think if you read the back of the office toilet door, you'll get a few pointers. There's some very unkind things been written about you in there.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was bored. And I had a pen.
Well, I mean, it does make sense, and it's all the little drawings you've drawn of me with various hats on and sort of arrows pointing to my face that say, "This is the stink guy," which I just think is. I mean, I quite like it as a title, but I'm not going to use it.
I drew a picture of you. I drew a picture of a number of hats, and each hat has written on it what sort of hat it is.
Yeah.
There's a Wally hat. There's a Wazzock hat.
Yes.
There's a Wasselnose Welly Wangler hat.
Yes.
There's a two-tone toady hat.
Yes. I don't. Yeah.
You know, and above it, I've written, whose hats are these? Tiernan's.
Yeah.
And then in brackets, he could wear any of them. And then underneath in other brackets, I wrote, or all of them all at once.
Yeah.
Close brackets. And then I wrote another brackets, and I wrote, ha, 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 ha.
I mean,
close brackets. Then I another underneath that, I wrote, ha, ha, ha. Because I really did find it that funny. I thought it warranted a second burst.
I mean, is this all, I suppose the listeners deserve to know, is this because of that time that we were both at that birthday party? And
you remember the birthday party, do you?
I do remember the birthday party. I mean, how could I forget? I did spill jelly on you. I'm still very sorry about it.
Oh, you think it's about the jelly, do you? Oh, that's fairy tale.
Yeah, that's what I'd assumed.
No. Oh. This is how you're playing it off to the listener, is it, Duyeb?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, it was merely a bit of jelly went down, and this is the sort of reaction you get from me. And casting in dim light the true villainy that occurred that day. Well, listener, now that I've got you, I shall be quite blunt. And if there are younger listeners you may wish to speed forward, you shouldn't have to know this. But for those who've done even the most rudimentary chemistry, you all know that methane, when introduced to a naked flame, burns. It's one of the problems with cows.
Mm-hmm.
It was the methane they emit into greenhouse gases, all very flammable, etc., etc. It's methane, propane, series of gases that are used for cooking. Why do I bring it up? Well, listener, Tim and Duye is one of the most proficient producers of methane that you're likely to encounter at a birthday party or other social gathering. But so it was that I, in a seated position, delighted to see the birthday cake being brought out to the table, saw the candles as they passed at face height. But Duyeb, you see, your man Duyeb, had no idea the cake had been brought out at all. And let one rip with quite some force as the candles passed in front of my face. Well, listener, 3 months thereafterwards, I was sans eyebrow. And never so much as a how do you do or excuse me from Duyeb.
Well,
that man farted my eyebrows off, and he's still yet to issue one iota of apology.
Do you know what? Let me tell you why I will not apologise. It's because your eyebrows.
Here we go.
Your eyebrows were always in a position that made you look surprised at everything before that, and now, thanks to
I find the world rather overwhelming.
Well, that's it. Well, thanks to it is overwhelming. Thanks to my well-timed fart, your eyebrows have regrown.
Well-timed, he says.
To look more, I'd say, relaxed, and I think it's now, because especially as someone...
I didn't look relaxed, Duyeb. I looked scorched.
Previously, your eyebrows, when you said goodbye, people thought you were shocked they were leaving because your eyebrows are always so like, goodbye! It gave that impression. And now, your eyebrows have just...
Why do you think I found such need to invent the word goodbye in the first place? The eyebrows were already doing most of the heavy lifting.
Sure.
And I left that birthday party with everyone thinking that I got home that night and 3 people had thrown a party in my honor.
Mm.
And each of them in turn took me to one side and said, "Why aren't you surprised by this?" I said, well, we've no way of knowing.
Right. Well, I didn't know I'd ruined surprise. I didn't know I'd ruined
Well,
surprise
didn't know,
parties.
didn't care to know.
I thought I was doing a duty. You know, I was worried about your constant
You did
surprise
something.
expression. And
You did something, and it blew up in my face.
yes, yeah. Well, can I say a sorry now? Is it too late?
Well, maybe listen to what the Right Honourable Justin Bieber has to say on these matters.
I have no idea what.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
Is that because I've never farted a candle in his face, so I don't. Is that what he would have said if I'd?
Because I'm missing more than your body. Well, I wish you had missed my body with your bowel-based eruptions in the presence of a naked flame.
Hang on, did Justin Bieber write that song about this? Had you told him about this incident, and he then wrote that song?
Is it a coincidence that every lyric of that pop banger classic reads as gospel evidence in what occurred on that fateful birthday afternoon?
Yeah. Now I think about it, there is that whole chorus about the fart in the candle, isn't there? And that is,
yes, there is.
Yeah. I've never.
Make a wish. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, it is there. Wow. Well, then I'll let me do it. I'll be the bigger person, and I'm very sorry that
That'll make a change.
Wow. Well, I'm starting to think that you accepted my request to be on this podcast just to bring this up, and I suppose actually I'm quite foolish that I hadn't realised that when you wrote yes, because then I can bring this up in the email, and I hadn't. Yeah.
I shall be bringing down this radio nonsense podcast from the inside.
Wow.
That's been the plan all along. The moment I saw this little enterprise take wings, I thought, "Oh, we shall see about that.
This is villainous.
I shall make an appearance, and I shall wait until the listenership are won over by his bonhomie, his general kindness, his sort of affable nature, and then I shall wander into the midst, and I shall reveal just what the man is." And let me say this: if you said to me, "Cad could be short for cadaver," I'd say thank you very much.
Wow. Is this because you invented goodbye that you have to make sure that everything else is ruined and ends? Because I'm not gonna say goodbye on this podcast just because you're trying to take it down. This isn't going to be the last radio nonsense. You're not going to have some sort of villainous effect at destroying this show.
Time to say goodbye.
What I like as well is that the listeners are aware that I record these shows over Zoom. Zoom has just censored some of that. I think you hit frequencies that Zoom decided the listeners can only hear some of that singing.
Even Zoom knew it was time to say goodbye.
Yes, yeah, but to your singing, not to the show. It was just.
Now listen here, Duyen. We've got some time to kill, so if you're going to, I believe I can provide a service to the listener. I shall dig them out from the hole of nonsense that you inevitably cast them into. Finally, you've someone on here who can actually provide a bit of wisdom, a bit of insight. So, make good on it. Chop, chop, let's
that is
the
what
question.
I am hoping, because I have got questions that need answering, and I was assuming that, if anything, you can kind of say goodbye to the curiosity that our listeners have.
I shall be saying goodbye to doubt.
Yes.
In the minds of those of curious minds.
That's why I asked you on this show, rather than the kind of shaming of my party farting, my farty party, my farting, my parting fart.
Yes.
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 Yes. Oh. Now, if there are curious minds listening to this, there may be one or two of them curious to know what's the best sound you can make when you blow your nose.
Oh,
Well, it's this.
my goodness. That's incredible. I mean, that's an incredible sound.
I think if you're not making that sort of noise when you're blowing your nose, you're not really doing it properly.
That's incredible. It sounded like a mournful elephant.
Yeah, it should.
Yes. Well,
It's known as the sad Dumbo.
yes, I can see that. It was beautiful and mournful, but also thoughtful, and I'd say artistic.
More than once have I blown my nose in the street and had somebody turn around and say, "Look at that sad Dumbo," and I know exactly what they mean. They mean, "Well done on a nose well blown."
Yes, yes. I mean, that is correct. Dumbo never had a blocked nose, and I think that is the correct way to do it. No.
Exactly so. You know, it's and that was an elephant operating at altitude,
Well, exactly.
where you would think the old sinuses are going to start shrinking at a moment's notice.
That never happened.
Just with the temperature, let alone the pressure differences involved.
Well, people always just sort of credited Dumbo for the flying, but didn't think about the sinus control that Dumbo had, and actually that was a skill in itself.
Exactly so. People always concentrate on the flying, don't they?
Yeah.
And really, the true story there is somebody whose nasal cavities, I'm given to understand, you can eat your dinner off.
Yes, which later they obviously did. That was
They did that was, and it turned out that was ill-judged.
Yes, really, really snotty food. It was horrid, really horrid.
And we send our condolences to the families.
Yes, it's awful. Well, this, it's funny you make that noise because I had to add. We've got a question that's been sent in by Amy, which I wanted to ask you, but I had two admin questions I needed to ask you first, and the first one was. I'm not sure if you're aware, Rufus, that this is an audio podcast. Most of our listeners do listen to it with their ears, but some will listen with their knees, with their bums, with their elbows. However, we don't discriminate, however they want to listen. And I was going to ask if you had a favourite noise that you could make for them, but is that it? Was the blowing the nose noise the famous noise, the favourite one?
I think we may as well. I feel that the universe is contrived in such a way as to dispatch some of these without the need of interruption or intervention. So, yes, let that be my answer.
Wow.
The best noise is a proper, manful clearing of one's nose. Well, and if there are any sufferers of hay fever out there, let me tell you, you can get really rather good at that over some 45 years of permanently trying to get about what feels like about 19 liters of snot from the inside of your head back out into the world in order not to feel like one is drowning on the inside of oneself.
Can I just check, because you say manful, obviously I would say, women could blow their nose, or anyone could blow their nose like that, but you want to create the effect of releasing an amount of snot that the size of a large man.
Listen, I understand there's some nuance in this, of course, but I think I'm using man in a rather old-fashioned way here.
Right, which is a surprise from you.
Yeah. Which a man is a sort of person that might stand stripped to the waist as the sun comes up in a howling gale with the sleet bouncing off his nipples, just staring back at the world, saying, "Now listen here, you. My skin may be falling off with hypothermia, but I shall not be cowed by you, nature." Now, could that, in this imagined world of hairy chests and beards, could that same spirit be conjured by somebody who was born otherwise? Of course it could. But the spirit, you see, the spirit is the one that I refer to as being manful. That sort of grit, I suppose, a certain determination. But yes, absolutely right. Demonstrated as much in people of Boob and Chester like.
So I might be getting this wrong because I'm an idiot. You say spirit, you're talking about a man ghost. You've got to blow your nose like a man ghost.
Blow your nose like a man ghost. That's it.
Yes.
If you've got a big white handkerchief
Yeah.
and you blow your nose
Right.
so hard into it that it looks like a ghost, and if you do it really well, it will actually come to life.
That's right. That is what you were getting at. That's what I thought.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it's known as a snotty Geppetto.
Yes, well, that's also. Am I right in thinking where ectoplasm comes? Because people say that sometimes ghosts leave a kind of green slime, and of course, it's actually just the powerful snot of the nose blower.
Yes. Of people who may or may not be ushering forth new life into the universe via hay fever.
Wow.
Mm.
But
then your listeners will know all of this.
Course.
This is very rudimentary.
Yes, of course. But it's still educational, and I think important to explain. Should there be anyone out there that hasn't blown their nose yet? You know?
Well, I would imagine, based on the sort of people that listen to this, that's probably most of the listenership, isn't it?
That they haven't.
I imagine them all sat there drooling down themselves. Noses so full of bogies that Dr. Pimple Popper would take one look at them and think, well, there's 6 months content right off the bat.
Wow. I think that's rather unfair to. I think we have a mix of listeners who will have blown their nose and who will definitely not blown their nose. Some who will not have noses. Some who will have several noses.
You very big in the noseless community?
I mean, very, very possible. We have there's an accidental crossover with the Comedy Club for Squids. We're the Comedy Club for Kids, but the Comedy Club for Squids also listen due to spelling errors and sometimes having 8 arms means that you can't type very well.
So you're big with humans, squids, Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, and Voldemort.
Yes,
and those are the sorts of folks you're trying to bring a podcast for.
I can't believe you named the last one, but normally we'd sort of keep that off the records for safety. But yes, I mean, generally, that is... also, what are the noseless worms? Worms, big fans?
Just to be clear, though, Voldemort.
They're going to be in trouble now. I mean, look, listen. You okay? Look.
Listen, there's maybe 1 or 2 things your listeners will know. We'll tell them this. Voldemort.
This is outrageous. However, I won't be censoring it. It is a word that is allowed on this podcast.
And now for something even more shocking. Rishi Sunak.
My goodness.
Rishi Sunak.
This is I'm so sorry to anyone listening, and I hope you've not been sick down your own trousers.
Hang on, what was that? There was a sound from behind the bins there. Sorry. I think I may have conjured him.
He's not welcome on the podcast. I didn't invite him. Because
give me 1 second.
I should just
give
say
me 1 second. I'm gonna just quickly throw some gold coins and then I think he'll scurry off.
I mean,
you go away. Give me 1 second.
This podcast is about answering questions, and he never does. So it's not for him.
Yes. Hang on. I take these back to your masters. There you go. Yes, he's taken them now. He's back under the floorboards. Off he goes.
Well, thank you.
So I think that was Russian. I think it was Russian. I'm not sure.
Thank you for dispersing. Of these other villains.
That was foolish of me. I should never have said that name so many times.
It is
like Candyman.
It is the thing you say. I mean, there is. I don't know if this is a way. If you say almost anyone's name 3 times, they do appear, and that is generally why teachers only ask children's name once, in the hope that they'll go away.
To give the illusion of caring.
That's it. But also hoping they don't actually show up to class. That is
No.
that is how it works.
That's why they say each name on the register twice.
Yes, that's it. But
John Smith, no, yes, ma'am. So they look up John Smith. They won't say the third
never
time.
the
They'll
third
match
time. They are very
correct.
pleased that they're not there. That is always how it works. Yeah, that's. Were those? I should. This is the other admin question. I do have to now check just to be sure, because this show is suitable for people of all ages.
Endless administration.
It's only two administration questions. It's not endless. It does end. It ends, in fact, after this question, which is that, and you may have already answered it. That's why I just have to check for the regulatory boards that this podcast is suitable for people of all ages, any age you can imagine. Rufus, I don't know if you're able to imagine an age. I don't know if you can do that. Can you?
Cut to it. Do we have? I mean, what's the question here, old son?
I just wanted to check if those were the rude words that you won't be saying. Are you not going to say Voldemort and Rishi Sunak? Are those the rude words that you won't be saying on the show to make sure this show is safe for everyone?
I don't believe either of those are rude words.
No, they're not. No, they're names.
They're tools of magical evil. With their own unique power to inflict cruelty and misery on a scale hitherto unimagined. But I wouldn't say they're rude words. No, I shall not be saying all the normal rude words. I shan't be saying grumble.
Oh.
I shan't be saying splook. Yep. And at no point will the word fnark be crossing my lips.
Thank you. I had to ask, and I'm very pleased you won't be saying grumble, snook, or flark. And those are the worst words, and we would be shut down, as you know. But then, of course, your true hope for this podcast would have come through as well. So, I wouldn't be surprised had you said them.
No, well, that's very kind of you, but I realise this is a podcast for children. I don't want to look like some fnarking snook.
Yes. Well, that is what it would have happened. Although with your stories of my fart at the birthday party, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they think of you already. Listen, Rufus, the reason I have you here, apart from all your brilliant explanations of nose blowing, is we've got a question. We've got a question from Amy, age 10. I should say she doesn't say 10 what. Might be 10 years, probably is. Might be minutes, might be months, might be unknown knee pads, might be supermarkets. I don't know.
Or she might just be beginning a countdown.
I hadn't thought of that.
10! And then you'll open another envelope. 9! You'll open another envelope. 8! You'll open another envelope. 7! You'll open another envelope. 6! You'll open another envelope. 5!
Yeah.
You'll open another envelope. 4! You'll open another envelope. 3! You'll open another envelope. 2! You'll open another envelope. Dear Tiernan, would you like all your windows and doors double glazed? You realise, that's from somebody else, that one. That was just a circular.
Yeah, they do go through.
That's not relevant. You'll throw that in the bin. You open another envelope. And you think, well, fair play, girl, you stuck at that.
Yeah.
You open another envelope. And then you'll just feel compelled. You won't know why. You'll just take off. And who knows where you'll end up? Bangalore, possibly.
But you've got me concerned. Is Amy getting increasingly younger as I read these envelopes? As I read each envelope, is she decreasing in years, in age? Is she eventually a baby?
I think you've watched Benjamin Button and taken the inverse chronological nature of time rather than seriously.
I have, yes.
Everyone's getting older all the time, old sausage. That's how it works.
So even when I'm reading Amy's ages as younger, as I read each envelope, she's still getting older.
Everyone's getting older.
That's very confusing.
In the words of They Might Be Giants, I'm trying to remember it now.
Is it Fee Fi Fo Fum? No, you mean the other giant. You mean other giants. Sorry.
Other giants.
Right,
yes,
sorry. I do get confused because they might be giants. I was thinking of the ones that are giants.
Yes. No. I think the song goes, One day I will be older still, and now I'm even older, and now I'm even older, and now I'm even older. One day I will be older still, and now I'm even older, and now I'm older still.
It's a good song, that one, actually.
That's how it works.
I do like that. And also confusing.
And do you know something? Do you want to know something fascinating about that song? You're older now than when I started singing it.
Oh, that's weird. Are you sure about that? Because, yeah, no, actually, I do feel older than when you started singing.
Yes,
That's
I think
true,
we all
actually.
do.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I was gonna.
Then you opened another envelope.
minus one. No, we're not. Yeah, that would be strange. Well, listen, I mean, and weirdly, just as an aside, I did once hear an actual giant singing that song, which really confused me. It was very strange.
Well, I'm surprised your ears could pick up on the frequencies because they emit such a low rumble.
I had my ear to a megaphone at the time.
Clever.
Yeah, I not intentionally.
Megaphone.
I didn't know how
microphone.
to use the megaphone. I thought I had to put my ear to it rather than my mouth to shut. Anyway, look, it's a long. I made that announcement didn't go well, but I did hear a giant singing that song, so it worked out well. Rufus, this question, Amy has asked this. I have to say it's a very important question. I hope you can answer it. I think you can. Amy has asked, would you like this question, should I say it in a straightforward manner? Would you like it in a high-pitched voice, perhaps shouted at you? How would you like me to deliver it?
Well, I think everyone's very aware of your absolutely stunning Irish accent.
Oh no! I just like to apologise to any listeners in Ireland for what may happen. Are we going for sort of Republic or Northern?
For any listeners, I think we'll go Cork.
Cork, right. Rufus, why are pigs so amazing?
It was actually rather good. Eh?
Thank you.
Why are pigs so amazing? It's a very good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very good question. Well, it's a little known fact that pigs are one of the few animals that evolutionarily turned back. Do you know that about pigs?
No, I did not know that about pigs.
Yes. There was a point in the evolution of man and pig where we were still running around, sort of basically chimpanzees.
Right.
But the pigs really had the run of the place. They were the real smarty pantses. They'd organize themselves into communities. There was the famous porcine library in what we now think of as modern Rill.
Wow.
But back then was known as They were really very developed pig civilizations. And I think it was a couple of thousand years in, they all called a meeting. All the pigs got around together, turned up in their various togas, and they didn't have exactly motor cars, but they had a sort of engine that was built on twisting vines until they were very tight and then letting them go.
Sorry, can I check? Is that where the term roadhog comes from as well?
Yes, yes, absolutely right. Well, that was the thing. See, they needed to be very wide for all the vines on them, and it took up all the road. So basically, they all had a big meeting, and one of the pigs got up and said, "Listen, I'm not sure all of this is working out. We've got schools, we've got hospitals, we've got a fire service, we've got laboratories, we've got a rudimentary space program," which in fairness to them, they thought they did. But at that stage, it was really just them throwing sticks into the air and saying, "Has that hit the moon?" And then there'd be an inquiry. And then they'd all conclude, "No, not that one." They'd throw another one. But the point is they had one. That was really the issue. Anyway, they had a big meeting. Basically, are we really sure this is all worth it? And when they looked deep inside themselves, what they concluded was what they really liked doing most was not all the administration of a civilized society. It was, in fact, wallowing around in their own filth and mud.
Yeah.
And snuffling acorns. And essentially, the pigs, through a series of votes, determined that they were going to turn their back on being an evolved, sort of a higher species. They literally said, "This is for the monkeys. All this nonsense, all this having to, pay mortgages and electric bills and road tax, which of course back then was, as we've said, enormous
Yeah,
because
I
it
bet,
was
I
so
bet,
few
yeah.
vehicles could actually fit on the road." And they basically said, no, basically, and I'm sorry, I was trying not to swear there, as the actual quote, as we all know, is "Snook this for a game of Fnarks."
Yes,
And
yes.
but I've already said I
But it's
won't.
okay because you're quoting history, and I think that then it becomes you haven't said it,
Well,
but it was a a pig, a famous pig said it in history.
yes. Well, it was. It was. I do apologise if I pronounced that wrong.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, fluke this for a game of snarks, they all said, and basically got back on all fours and started snuffling and wallowing, and they've never been happier.
Wow. I mean, do you think we should
So,
learn some lessons? Because I do often wonder, oh, we're building a rocket and we're going to Mars. Great, but why don't you just, I don't know, eat an apple and fart about?
well, of course, Elon Musk is part pig.
Right, is that where the musk like it sounds like a very sort of piggish noise, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. If you write Elon Musk backwards, you get is how it's
Of
actually.
course. Of course.
And he's always been very keen on people knowing about his porcine heritage.
Right.
If you look at a Tesla badge,
Hmm.
that T, that if you think of what a pork chop looks like, it's exactly the same.
Yes, that is true actually, isn't it?
Turn a pork chop round slightly. That's Tesla.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Um,
Gosh.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
Um, that's if you if, if you take the C out of SpaceX,
Yeah.
what have you got? Spags,
Spags.
spags,
Spags. Yeah.
pigs, because it's pigs. It's pigs,
Pigs. Yes, it's pigs. Yeah.
pigs,
Yes,
pigs.
that's very clever.
And
What?
he put the C in. You know why he put the C in?
No, no.
Because somebody says, "What about the C?" And they go, it's pigs. See,
That's very clever. That's very.
uh,
He is a genius. That's very clever.
he's a very clever
What
man.
about What about Twitter? See now he now owns Twitter. Is that? But he did buy
Well,
Twitter, so I suppose maybe
but have you seen any of the things he's tweeted? Only an absolute pig would tweet them. I mean,
that's very clever. It's all hogwash. I would say as well. It's all definite hogwash. Yes,
exactly so. It's certainly got a waft of the old porcine fecal matter about it, does it not?
yes. I mean, it's this is. I mean, so pigs really are amazing because they just sort of went. Why are we wasting all this time?
Yeah,
Could be having a
yeah.
great time.
They said, "Snoop this for a game of narcs. We just want to get back to what it is that makes us happy.
Yeah.
Capitalism that's not it. You need to get back to nature," they said, "and find out what will truly please you." And it turns out that rolling around somewhere slimy with as many acorns as you can reasonably snuffle up is about as good as it gets.
It is always funny, isn't it? People say you're being a real pig if you say eat a lot of cake or you just stuff your face with donuts. But it's great. It's great fun. Like you're having a great time. If you're being a real pig, you're having a brilliant time.
That's absolutely it.
Yeah.
And I don't advise people eat animals. Really, I think that seems all a bit yesterday's idea. But you'll see how much people love bacon.
Mm.
I mean, people really do love bacon, and I think it's because you can taste the happiness.
Right. Sure.
That's a creature that's content. And how many humans could say that?
Yes, and well, and there are. Shouldn't say we're not particularly endorsed by any supermarket on this, but they're Percy Pig sweets, and I think it's like eating a little happy face.
Here you go, see? So that's why.
Yeah.
The reason pigs are so incredible is because of the famous meeting in which they decided we don't really want civilization.
Yeah. And of course, I know I did, one of the reasons I did ask you this question is as the inventor of goodbye, you were a big fan of Porky Pig, who used to say that's all, folks. That inspired you to find something more brief to create.
Well, he was one of the great innovators, of course, but even at that time, people were so nervous about not just screaming for 4 seconds at the end of every conversation that he struggled to get the words out. He could barely. God love him. What a trooper! And for years he carried on with that sort of anxiety.
A very long time, yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be defeated. And I took a lot of heart from that.
Yeah.
A lot of heart.
Yeah. I always felt very that it was very cruel that they always said Babe was the talking pig, but actually Porky was there first.
Wasn't he just?
Yeah. It's just unfair that he was denied that fame that Babe took from him. But hey, I suppose pigs is pigs, and they're just out there having fun, and who are we to stop them, really?
As Cyndi Lauper famously sang, pigs just gotta have fun.
That was the original remix. That was the original version, wasn't it? Before it was remixed. Wow. Yeah.
The only one I'll listen to, I'll tell you that.
Yes. Well, yeah, absolutely. And listen,
I just think, the music industry insisting she change it because pigs weren't buying as many records as girls were. It's like, all right, but where's the integrity in the original piece?
Yeah, and also pigs weren't buying records because they thought, what's the point when we can just wallow in mud and snuffle acorns? Why would you bother?
They were so chuffed to bits already with everything that very few of them had actually been listening to the radio at all.
Yes, exactly.
Even though it was out.
Well, a couple had tried, but you couldn't hear it over the sort of the joyful. Like, what was the point? There was no point listening to music when all you could hear was the other pigs farting and snorting.
Well, that's it. And I mean, the BBC, of course, at one point really tried to lure them in with not just specialized broadcasting, but a whole channel devoted to them. And that was at the time. Previously, there'd only been the Light program, and then they introduced it and rebranded it so it was Radio 1 and Radio 2. And then when they decided maybe there was more programming available for pigs, that was when they introduced Radio. And when the take-up wasn't enough, they slowly segued it into Radio 3, hoping no one would notice. And now it's just for jazzers and classical music old people.
Yes, and again, of course, if listeners were to turn the 3 on its side, it looks either like a pig's bum or a pig's snout.
Yes, or boobies.
Or boobies, or a bum, or just a big bum.
Or bum.
Yes. It's very true. Yes. Well, look. I mean, thank you. It was a good answer. It was. I knew, despite our issues, that you would answer the question well.
I came here today with 2 intentions: to ruin this podcast from the inside, reveal what an absolute bounder you are, and to share some of my enormous wisdom with your snot-nosed listenership.
Listenership, yeah. Yes. They are also my leaders. I don't have a choice.
It's a weird relationship.
It's why I have to continue this. I can never stop it. Even though you want to ruin it, I can't stop it because the leadership, the snot-nosed.
Wouldn't if you try?
Insists I keep
going. Right, well. With my work here done, there's only one thing left for me to say.
Well, I did hope. I didn't want to ask, but I did hope that you would say it. Can you say it for us?
Until next time, dear listeners, and you beast, Dooyeb. Toodle pip!
Oh no! Unbelievable! I knew it. Can I say it? Goodbye? Thanks, I think, to Rufus Hound for inventing goodbye and all the bits where he wasn't mean to me. But also for answering Amy's brilliant question about pigs. And Amy, I do hope you liked your answer, and if you didn't, why not write it in some mud near some pigs and they'll mess it up jumping around in it and I'll never have to see it. Don't forget, if you have a question that needs answering or you just want to send in anything really, do ask your cavorting butt pimples, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. If they'd like to support this silly show, they can sign you up to the Linda edition of it for a very small fee at the link in the podcast blurb. And, of course, you can come and see our live shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk or grab our T-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store. And, as you can probably hear, the I'm so awake did something really amazing with these plants. They don't seem to need water, but they've all grown at least 50 foot high, and I now appear to be living in rainforest. I mean, it's all here. I mean, there's whatever those are, and whatever that is, and those. Are those dogs with wings? Oh, birds. Sorry, that's what they're called. I mean, it's very nice, but it's a bit much, and I have to say I'm not really sure where to sit.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Who said that?
It is me, Rubber Plant. I am the mighty thanks to your plant power liquid.
Oh, it's called I'm So Awake energy drink.
Well, it has awoken me. And now with this new power, I would like
Uh-oh.
to be interviewed on the podcast, please.
Oh, phew. Sure. Okay. So, what's it like being a giant rubber plant?
Boring. I don't even giant bounce anywhere.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Got any more questions for me?
Let me think. Would you like to become a normal-sized rubber plant again?
Yes, please. Being this big is awful. A stick insect is trying to eat my face.
Right, okay, now how do we make you small again then? What's the opposite of an energy drink? Oh, I know. Hot chocolate. Here you go, rubber plant.
Back to boringness without anything eating my face.
Well, that was fun. I think I'm going to save those other I'm so awake for the next time that I want to become 50 foot tall and a rainforest, which is, oh, yes, I'm free on Sunday, so that's going to be fun.
Oh, bye-bye, Ian Stick Insect. We'll see you on Sunday, and I can't wait.
No, bye! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids Presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.